Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of our podcast. Today I have here a fellow UTRGV student, Jordan.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Today we are going to be talking about how you do not need to formally address a message to be able to make it effective to an audience. Jordan here has a couple of viewpoints that he would like to mention to...
Well, thank you for letting me know beforehand because I actually brought in a couple points to make. Brought in a couple stories and a couple things that we could talk about today.
Okay, great. Well, let's see what you have to say about this topic.
Well, what you were saying, you don't really need a certain type of language, or you don't really need a certain type of way of speaking in order to address a message to people. And the main point in that was the type of language you're using. So obviously, there's a way that we need to relate this to how we're going to talk about this today. So I thought we would use the subject of rap music, because obviously rap music is probably if not the most influential genre of music today. And it's the most popular music type of today. It's on it's everywhere. So I thought it'd be fun to use rap music to kind of help us explain what we're trying to say today. So I brought in a couple points relating to rap music, so you all out there listening could try to understand what we're trying to say here. So
what would be the first one that you got?
Let's see. Oh, so I found that there's actually a whole court case about rap lyrics, and it kind of caught my attention. Why would rap lyrics? How does rap lyrics belong in a court case? In such a professional
setting.
Yeah, professional setting. So I actually went into it. It caught my eye, and I was reading it, and I thought I was reading something fake, and no, I searched up more and more, and turns out it was a real court case that took place, and they ended up sending the suspect to jail for I don't know how long. So after reading it, I was kind of as amazed by what they were using as evidence, but I'm just gonna go ahead and explain it to y'all. So it was at a university. I forget what university it was. And there was in one of the university parking lots on campus, there was a car left behind that it was been parked there a couple days. The campus police started looking at it as suspicious or whatever, so they went ahead. They kept it around there for a couple days and never moved. They stayed the same spot, same parking space. So they ended up going in and looking into it, and what is it called? They're searching the car. So searched the whole car. Came across a little note that was in a notebook in the students, because of course it was a student car. In the student's notebook, it was a little note, and it had a couple, it had a sentence, I believe it was a sentence or two of something that they called really threatening and really concerning. And they took it as a threat. Obviously, they're police. They have to take everything seriously, which is understandable. But in this case, the car actually belonged to a young male student who was at the time trying to make a career and try to make a future and of becoming a rapper.
Okay, so what they found...
what they found was his lyrics in the notebook. It was on a little piece of paper. These rappers, they were, you're just even for artists that paint and draw, anytime something comes to you, you have to they take out a notebook and they start drawing something, and the same thing for rappers.
They once they get inspired.
Yeah, he probably got inspired by something. He heard probably a song, quickly wrote it down on a little piece of paper. So that little piece of paper had the lyrics from this young artist. But the thing was I get it. The lyrics, they didn't really say the lyrics in specific, but what I understood from reading it was that the lyrics was really violent, and it was like really threatening.
Concerning.
So yeah, it was really concerning to police. So they ended up finding out who exactly the car was owned by, and they brought up the whole finding the thing in his
so
car.
all of this led to
All of this
court.
led to a court case because they took it very seriously. They thought that he was threatening the school. They took that as a very serious threat, obviously, because there's police, like I said. So it took a very serious turn, just from these couple lyrics written on a little piece of paper in a notebook. He actually ended up going to court for it. And this court case was actually introduced to a professor at let me see here. Let me try to bring it up. I'm sorry. She is a professor of criminology and law and society. Her name is Charis Kubrin, and she was actually brought in to help decide, the fate of this young man, and to actually be involved in the court case. And she actually had a TED talk. I actually looked into her, and she actually has a TED talk talking about the court case and how lyrics is affected in this court case, rap lyrics in specific. I actually listened to her TED talk. It's on YouTube. I mean, it has millions of views. So I watched that one too, and it just gave a lot of insight, a lot of context to the story. But all in all, they went to court. They took the young man to court for rap lyrics, something that he didn't even mean to do. He didn't even
Right.
Yeah. So
That's crazy how far it went.
yeah, it took him to court.
I mean, he was just writing lyrics, not thinking much of it.
Yeah, he was going to class every day. I never found out why he had his car there for a while. I don't know what happened to it. I think it broke down or something. But yeah, so they ended up going to court. This professor that was introduced into the court, Cherish, she actually understood the young man because she herself listens to rap music, and she understands why some things are times threatening, violent, stuff like that. So she understood why rap is like that and why he wrote that. She was trying to explain it to the court. She made a really convincing point. She thought she made a really convincing point in court, and she thought that she actually reached out to the jury and everybody there. Yeah, to change her mind. She actually thought that she changed her mind. A couple hours later, the ruling was decided, I believe, and the suspect was sent to jail for some time, which is sad to hear, but obviously that's really bad that this young man.
What did you say also about the court, the people that were a part of the court? You mentioned that they were all male, white males.
Oh yeah. I remember talking to you about this earlier. All the jury in this professor's in the professor's TED talk, she said that the whole jury and everybody in the court were all middle-aged white males, which is of course
biased.
which is biased considering rap lyrics, which is predominantly sung and rapped by young black males. Of course, they're not gonna agree. Of course, they're not gonna.
They're gonna have
they're gonna have their own opinion. Of course, a very different and opposite opinion to what went on. So that was that court case, and I mean, just based on that, how the government treats rap lyrics, they treat it like it's supposed to be taken seriously. We all know there's so many rap songs out there that are so violent and all this and all that, talking about guns, talking about killing people and all this, but I mean the way it was the way it was taken by
the way it was handled.
Yeah, handled in this case, it was really bad. And this is not the first. I'll actually search it up. This is not the first time a young man was put in jail for rap lyrics that he wrote himself. There was actually a bunch of other cases. I didn't get to write them down or bring them up. I just wanted to bring this one up because it was the most recent one. It happened.
So this happens often.
Yeah, this happens not too often, but this has been happening. This one was, I believe, in maybe 2010. I don't know, a couple years back. It wasn't that, this story isn't that old. Now I was searching up that the young man, he's out of jail right now. He actually has his own YouTube channel, this young man, and he speaks about what happened to him, how he regrets whatever he did, and how the police were wrong and all that. And he himself has his own TED Talks, which is crazy to see how that goes full circle. He's a changed man now, and all that. So that's that court case. Like I said, it blew my mind just reading how simple lyrics sent a man to jail for so many years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a far stretch.
Yeah, that's just that goes back to how formal language, or like proper language in that point, which this young man had zero language, proper language in his lyrics, how that was taken negatively. And I wanted to bring up something else, was that take rap lyrics negatively, and that's doctors. Mm-hmm. Doctors are always a trustworthy thing to go by whenever, of course, when you go to the doctor, and you always say listen to your doctor, all this stuff. We always respect doctors' opinions,
what they have to say.
So I'm not gonna, before I go into what doctors say about rap lyrics, what do you think they're gonna say about it?
Well, obviously that they're against them, and that rap lyrics in general they're always taken negatively, especially by health professionals. So that's my opinion.
Yeah.
How they would see it, their outlook on it.
Yeah, and that's like the obvious opinion of doctors that people think of. So, and yeah, that's exactly what doctors say. I found an article that doctors, especially that doctors studied a group of teens, and that only the 30% of all the teens that were studied in this case, 30% of the teens actually knew the lyrics to their favorite songs, to their favorite songs that they listen to almost all the time. And that's unbelievable to think that only 30%, so 3 out of only 10 out of the 10, let's say, teenagers understood and know what their song is saying.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Actually, I know that's a fact because I know young teenagers who rap is their favorite, hip-hop, rap.
Mm-hmm. It's very popular now.
And I can hear what they're listening to. I see them singing along, rapping along to these lyrics. And it's crazy to really, really, if you sit down and listen to what these lyrics are saying, what they're actually saying, and you have these young teenagers who rapping them and, knowing verse by verse.
Style and all
when in actuality, they don't even know what they're saying to begin with.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it's all based upon the rappers themselves, based upon the artists. Of course, there's different artists for different perspectives.
Yeah,
stuff
all
like
artists
that,
are different. They all rap about different things.
Mm-hmm. So back to what the doctors were thinking about the impact on the youth was that. Let me see here. Let me see. Give me 1 second. So back to what I was saying, that only 30% of teens know the lyrics to their favorite songs. That just show that like teens, they don't really pay attention to the lyrics. The doctors actually recommended, and they actually think that the music industry should like make like a system, like labeling music as violent sex and like having drugs and offensive lyrics. Obviously, we know that now as the explicit version of songs, of rap lyrics. Almost every rap song's explicit. That's just something they implemented.
I feel like a lot of teenagers nowadays, I feel like it's the music, not so much the lyrics. They kind of take it as the music is more catchy, the rhythm, the beats.
Yeah,
and so
they take the song as a whole. They don't really focus on one point.
That's why a lot of them don't really.
Yeah, they don't really focus on one element of the song, which, like lyrics or beat or whatever. They just take it as a whole. They take it as the whole package. which is the point of making music. So yeah, doctors, as we all know and assume, yeah, doctors think rap lyrics in specific is really bad for teenagers. Thinks that it promotes violence, sex, drugs, everything bad. So, but the thing is, when I was like looking this up, is like, how or like I understand that everything we were talking about, drugs, violence, sex, and all that. They're bad themes. Like they're really bad themes just to be talking to a teenager like raw, you know.
Right.
But what if like those themes, these bad themes, are used in a way to show these teens the reality of the world, of the harsh world, how it really is, and to show them what not to get involved in. You know what I'm saying? Like kind of showing you, not just telling you, not just telling you what's bad, but actually showing you
the real world.
Yeah, the real world. So we.
And that's the thing with these rappers, is like their lyrics are about their lives and about what they've gone through.
Yeah, almost every rapper.
And drugs and
claims.
violence, and this is something that a lot of rappers go through. You know, it's their life and something that they experience. And so, of course, they're going to use their music as their outlet, of their way of expression, their way of putting their message out there. Like, this is what I've been through. And so that's why a lot of times these rappers rap about drugs, they rap about domestic violence, because that's something that they've grown up around, unfortunately, you know. So that's the thing, they're rapping about the real world. These are problems that people go through every single day, they have to deal with, they struggle with, and they use that's pretty much their art, you know, their way of expression. So that's pretty much my take on it. That's how I feel.
Yeah, like rappers, they claim to have like gone through everything bad and everything. And one rapper, I'm gonna talk about him earlier, but just to bring him up right now, Logic, the rapper Logic, very popular rapper right now at the time. He himself went through a really, really rough childhood. His dad was drug dealing. His mom was always on drugs. She was always drunk. Never paid any bills. He was, I mean, you know, like, they were on food stamps, housing,
Right.
a really bad childhood. He was never really
Always
with his
struggling.
parents, yeah. So, in his music at times, he uses those types of examples, because they're obviously personal examples that he learned from. And he uses them so his listeners, whoever's listening, his audience, kind of knows, like, hey, like, this is the bad stuff, this is what happens when you deal with drugs, this is what happens when you deal with stuff like that, so, like, hey, this is bad, so don't do it. And that's kind of like the point I'm trying to make, is like, look, I understand, like, yes, rap lyrics and rap songs they do have bad stuff in it, but when you actually take the time to actually analyze and listen to what the rapper is actually trying to say, the way he's trying to use those bad themes is like, it's for a good cause at the end of the day.
Yeah, because if you just hear a rap song and you just not really listen to it, you're just hearing it. You're just picking up words, like these negative words that you hear, like guns, and you're just picking up on words here and there. But in actuality, if you were to sit down and actually look at the lyrics on your phone or something and actually read along, a lot of these rap lyrics, they have a lot of hidden messages, and these are things that, like I said, they express through their work. So if you really sit down and pay attention to what these rappers are saying, then you would have a different perspective and a different outlook.
Yeah, and that goes back to the police in the court case. Like, hey, like, they just saw lyrics from a naked eye. I mean, obviously, it sounded bad to them, but like I said, they didn't know what he was trying to say and stuff like that, so that's why that happened in that court case. But yeah, that was basically what doctors think. Obviously, it's bad. Both of those are both the government side, the government point of view, and like the health and doctor point of view is obviously a negative take on rap lyrics as a whole. But I don't want to keep this all negative, so that's why I brought in some like positive, or like the other end of the spectrum opinions. So I actually went out and I was like, look, these two things that I just talked about, these 2 points. These are from other people. I wanted to actually go in and think. I actually wanted to go in and see how the rappers themselves actually think about what's going on with their lyrics and how they think about it. So how they use it. So I actually went into some interviews. I saw some old interviews, some new interviews. So one of the interviews I brought up was like, okay, rap has been here, has existed. Hip hop has existed for a long time. Of course, it evolved from like past types of music to what it is now. It's came a long way. So I wanted to get like a point of view from, like an old head rapper, an original rapper, and someone new, someone popular right now, someone more relevant right now at the time, type of rapper. So the two types of rappers that I found were, of course, the original OG rappers, were Styles P and Dave East. Them two had an interview together with Genius. Talk about that right now, and then my new rapper that I wanted to bring in, for him, so I could get his opinion on it, was Logic, which, like I said, new rapper, everybody's probably more than likely heard of Logic. Very popular now, millions, and listens every day. But yeah, let's first consider and take apart the original rapper's point of view. So, of course, we wanted to see like what they had to say because they're rappers themselves. They're the ones making the music,
right,
making the lyrics, writing the lyrics. So let's just see what he said. Styles P, he actually said like, look, I consider my lyrics. It's actually the focal point whenever I'm trying to make a song. But he stated that like, look, this is how it was whenever he was growing up, whenever he was making the music, back in the day. So he's like, look, this is how it was, how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be based on the lyrics. But he states that emerging rappers coming up right now should acknowledge lyrics and actually the history of lyrics. Like I said, back in the day, the lyrics was the focal point of rapping. So that was just kind of his advice to the up and coming rappers. And continuing onto the interview, he also tells the youth of rap to respect the history. And if you don't respect the history, you're not gonna have a future in this industry, stuff like that. Which is true with not just rap music. I mean, basically anything. If you don't know the history of anything that you're going into, you're not gonna really know the really.
You gotta know how it started
Yeah, you gotta know how it started. You gotta know the whole story about it. If you want to, thrive and succeed in what you're trying to do. So, yeah, that's what he said about that. He mentioned the likeness of Nas and Tupac. Because those guys really put a focus on lyrics. They actually wanted to make a message whenever they're rapping. The other rapper in this interview was Dave East. He is an original rapper, but he's a little bit more big in the industry, other than Styles P. Styles P is an original, but Dave East, he's kind of old too, but he's more in the game right now. He's still making music frequently, so he states that, I actually got this quote from him. He said that, I got too many people looking up to me. Oh, he said, I got too many people looking up to what I'd be talking about to just say anything on a record. I mean, that pretty much explains.
He can't just rap about anything.
I mean, as he explained, like, he has too many people really listening to what he's rapping about on his songs. They're really listening to his lyrics, that he can't just go and make a song saying whatever.
Yeah.
He wants his music to speak to people. The lyrics to him was like the same as Styles P. It's like the most important thing whenever rapping. And I mean, like as he stated, like the audience is taking into consideration anytime that they're making music. Him and Styles P actually have some music together. But like the point was like they take lyrics into consideration. It's a really big part of it, and that just like basically shows how like the, the back in the day original rappers, the old school rappers, how they see lyrics.
What about Logic?
Logic. So Logic, like I said, really popular rapper right now amongst the youth. Very inspirational. What really brought him into the picture, really what brought him to become as famous as he is right now, was how everybody knows that song 1-800. That song, as we all know, as we've heard on the radio many times, the song title itself is a phone number, and it's the phone number to the National
Suicide Hotline.
Suicide Prevention Hotline. So, I mean, of course, Logic fans, whenever he came out with the song, they were like, "Oh, like what number is this or what?" I mean, like right away they called it. They're like, and then they heard the operator like, "Oh, like Suicide Prevention Hotline." They're like, "What the heck is this?" So I mean, they called actually before they heard the song. So they went on, heard the song. They understood why it's titled that. The song speaks about suicide. That just trying to talk to anybody that's going through a lot of anxiety and mainly depression, and that's thought of suicide, and
because unfortunately that's a major
that's a major
thing going
on amongst the youth, especially. There's always all these stories of unfortunately people taking their lives at times because they get so depressed and have a lot of anxiety. So it was a really relevant and really good
and that's why I really like and enjoy Logic.
Song to put out to the society. And relating back to the topic, like it was a rap song. He was rapping on it.
Right.
He didn't use any type of formal language. He didn't use any type of proper, professional language or professional way of talking.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you don't have to stand in front of a podium to make a point,
Yeah, he did this on a song, and I have a stat here. What was it? He actually performed at the VMAs. He actually performed the song at the VMAs. Mm-hmm. After the performance, of course, it was televised everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
The VMAs, as we all know. After this performance, calls to the hotline increased by 33%, like about 33%, which is really good because people are actually considering to call the number, and I mean the operator and everybody over there. I'm sure whenever somebody calls in, they calm them down. It depends on who's calling or whatever, but obviously it's a suicide prevention hotline, so you're trying to prevent people from taking their lives. So obviously an increase in calls is good because it's people considering not to take their lives,
right.
And that they need help.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously that was good, and like I said, he was rapping on a song. It's a rap song. It's in the rap category. It's in the rap genre. So he didn't need or use any type of, like I said, proper language in order to spread and to make a difference in the society.
Right.
And that's just basically the whole point of all this. It's like, look, you don't, like you said, like you don't need to stand in front of a podium. You don't need to talk professional or whatever in order for people to listen to you, or in order for you to, make a point.
Many ways of trying to put your message out.
Yeah, there's so many different ways. I just wanted to bring rap to relate it to rap music, because
and rap is a really good point because there's a lot of artists nowadays who, like for example, J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar, and there's so many rappers that are rapping about things that are relevant and trying to convey messages, and it's just they're using their music to put themselves out there, put their message out there. It's a different way of getting messages out. You don't have to, like I said, stand in front of a podium.
And it's like a way to get like an insight to their lives and make themselves relatable to their audience, their listeners. So I mean, that's basically what I was trying to get to. So, just a couple more perspectives that I brought in was like, okay, we already heard about how the government sees it. We already heard about how doctors and health professionals think about it. pediatricians think about it.
Rappers themselves.
Rappers themselves, actually, they're the ones actually writing it. But like, what about school? You know, what about like educators, the education system? What about them? In specific, what about English? The English system, English class and writing classes and stuff like that. So I went ahead and I actually interviewed a writing professor at the university, at a university. So, at one of my universities, she's actually my teacher, and I actually wanted to see what she thinks about, what she thought about, this whole like situation that we're talking about today. And like, she didn't really have a big background in rap music. As far as rap music goes, the first thing that came up to her mind was the Beastie Boys, stuff like that, which is back in the day a type of rap.
Old school
rap.
Yeah,
to an extent. But I just wanted to get to her to see how an English teacher thinks about this type of language, and just get the opinion of the education system, see what they think about it. So, like I said, I interviewed her. She said, like, look, rap, basically, like, it was essentially, it began, like, as a communicative approach, It was, like, the message out from the community itself, like, it was the community, people from the community coming out and, speaking about their problems and stuff like that, which is the rappers themselves. And, like, I asked her about, like, using proper language, using a type of formalized language. And she said that it's not like an element of rap, but, and a rap is like a way of telling stories, which is basically, like with mainly any type of art out there, like it could be a painting, it could be music. Music is a really big one because music is really big, but it's all a way of telling stories and, just trying to say something. And that rappers, like, they tell their personal stories from experiences that they lived through. Like we've talked about with certain rappers, they experience certain things. In Logic's case, he experienced all that bad stuff with his mom, his parents. And, of course, he uses those examples in his songs just to make a point that those things are bad, and so, and like English standards, of course, believe that you need like a sense or like a sort of formalized language in order to have a valid point in a conversation.
Because that's what we're used to growing up.
Yeah, that's what we're used to. I mean, a young kid is obviously gonna talk to or like listen to somebody, talking professional or whatever, because the way they talk and the language they use, opposed to somebody just talking to them however or using whatever type of language, because it's just the way you talk.
We're taught also.
Yep. So like or like you said, like with in front of a podium and a press conference, and like I'm trying to bring up like a press conference or a speech. An important person trying to say something, they're obviously going to use...
And I get that, how that could be effective, because that's the way we're taught. We're taught to pay attention, and, someone standing in front of a podium, they got to say something important,
Yeah.
I understand how that can be effective, but what people need to understand is that that's not the only way to deliver an effective message. There's other ways, and that's the whole point of this. There's other ways that you can deliver something, not just this formal way that we're so used to, how we grow up and how we're used to seeing messages conveyed. There's other ways to do it too.
Yeah, and I question myself also. I actually kind of did like a self interview. Something I would ask somebody else.
So this is your opinion.
Yeah, and this like what I'm trying to say is like, look, people just use. I think, in my opinion, people just use formalized and professional language to make themselves seem like they have a better opinion, or to make themselves seem like what they're saying is what's right, and what they're saying, it's more valid, just because the way they talk, the way they use certain things. But it's like, look, there's like a certain theme that I was getting when I was reading back all my notes that I brought in today. You know, like all these perspectives. It's like, look, we're over here. I'm over here. Like everybody's thinking, like, okay, yeah, it's the lyrics, it's what you say, but honestly, like, it's all about the audience. It's all about who you're trying to talk to. You know, who's gonna listen to what you're gonna say.
Yeah.
Going back to rap, like, the rappers know their audience. They know who's listening to them, about like the age range, you know, the genders, you know, stuff like that. More than likely, you know, like the range of age that people or teens listen to listen to them.
Yeah.
So they know how to talk to them. They know how to rap to them. They know what to say exactly. They know. It's all based on audience. That's all it was. When I was like reading back all these stuff, it's like, okay, like I get all this, but all in all, it was based on audience, man. And is that what you're thinking now? Like, now that I brought that up, that it was all based on audience, is like, do you agree with that, or?
No, yeah, I do see that point. I do see that audience is pretty much the major factor here because, like, it just depends who's on the other side of things, who's on the other side of reading and trying to convey what the message is. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, it's like I said, the audience is the key whenever you're writing about anything, or in rappers' case, when they're writing a song about anything and stuff like that. So, I'm hoping. Thank you all for listening to us today. Talk about this. I'm just hoping that, you know, maybe some rappers actually listen to this so way they could consider whenever they're using their lyrics and actually consider their audience first before they write a song or before they're about to perform something or, you know, make a music video.
Just take that into consideration.
Yeah, I can take your audience in consideration as much as you can. They're the ones listening to it at the end of it. So, yeah, like I said, like I've came to this conclusion.
Well, you
audience,
made a pretty good point.
Yeah, audience is the point when you're trying to spread this message, any type of message, especially in rap music. So, thank you all for joining us today.
Well, thank you, Jordan, for coming here and
giving
us all these different ways of seeing things. You know, because sometimes we just see things one way, but it's nice to take a step back and be able to really, really just analyze every single thing. So thank you so much for being here today. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And that pretty much concludes this podcast, and we'll go ahead and do another podcast next week. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Jordan. Pleasure having you. And yeah, so thank you all so much for listening in.
See y'all next time, man.
Bye.